You are a spider, born to weave. Every thread that comes out of your body is an extension of your mind. Precision, patience, art. You create your web as a shelter, as a trap, as an identity. But with each turn, each layer, each reinforcement, you get closer to the center, and when he realizes perfection itself has become a cell. Trapped in the trap you so zealously built, you ask yourself, why didn't anyone save me, or worse, why didn't anyone notice that I was holding myself back? I was born among roots shrouded in silence and dust. I was not received, I was not guided, but I was born knowing my fingers, thin and multiple, they were already shaking with an urgency that I didn't understand, an ancestral impulse, as if the emptiness of the world demanded that I fill it with lines. And so I did. I started weaving, thread by thread, point by point. Measured curves, perfect angles, every drop of silk born from within me, and somehow each one carried myself. It was like I was pulling myself out of my body and spread my essence in space. The first web was small, simple, but I was already enchanted. It shone in the morning dew like a forgotten jewel. It was my shelter, my trap, my art. I felt useful, able, gift. Each new thread was an affirmation that I existed. And then I redid it. Again and again, stronger, more symmetrical, more beautiful. I was proud of my creation. She made me forget that I was alone, that no one saw, that no one applauded. But that's okay, I said. I see, I applaud, I am the thread, and I am the one who stretches it. I'm enough. You hover in the center of the web. Observe the tensioned lines. Everything is where it should be. Nothing escapes. Everything it touches shakes. And that makes you feel in control. Over time, I realized that my web needed reinforcements. The wind grew. The world was rude. Beauty was not enough. She needed to be resilient. I started weaving layers, and then layers upon layers. I created internal tunnels, circles within circles, fortifications, security spirals. I need to protect myself. I need to improve. Just one more thread and then it will be perfect. But she never was. There was always a curve that wasn't exact, a crooked line, a weak corner. And then I would redo it, and once again, and another, until I myself then started to lose myself. You try to climb out onto the edge of the web, but the line gives way. You retreat, strengthen the side, walk in circles, more wires, more structure, more prison. What was shelter became an obligation. What was pride became an obsession, and what was home became a cage. But I didn't notice. Not yet. I just wanted to improve. I just wish it was enough. And if no one saw, at least the space around me would scream, "Here lives someone who built something beautiful." But little by little I started to notice. The light no longer came in. The web became dense, closed, too complex even for me. And when I tried to leave the way I entered, there was no longer any way out. The first time I tried to leave, it was almost by accident. A small insect had hit the edge of the web, but when I tried to run to him, my movement stopped. Not on the outside, but inside. My paws hesitated. My mind calculated too much. The path was not clear. The lines that I myself had placed to protect myself, now they confused me. What was the way back? Where was the edge? I tried to follow the sound of the vibration, but there were so many, too many layers, like a maze made of myself. When I arrived at the place, the insect had already escaped, and I, tangled up in a spiral that I had woven myself, I felt ashamed. How can I get lost in what I created? You stop in the center of the web, look around. What once seemed like symmetry now makes you dizzy. Too many lines, entrances that became walls, The sun no longer reaches the center. I spent the next few days reinforcing the structure, but with another look. Now I didn't weave to build. I worked to forget. Forgetting that I'm trapped. Forgetting that what was protection became prison. Forgetting that perhaps there never was an out. Just one more thread. And everything makes sense again. Maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe I'm just tired, but the truth is that my webbit is no longer a shelter. No trap, not Obra. She is repetition, a routine that makes me forget the pain, a ritual that masks the emptiness, a dance that avoids silence, and deep down I know that each new thread takes me away from the light. I know the more I weave, the less I recognize myself. But still, I weave. The paws move by themselves. The body rotates in the center. The sound of silk stretching mixes with the sound of your own breathing. Everything is rhythm. Everything is addiction. Everything is echo. I started to feel hungry, but no more. Insects came. The web was too big, too confusing, too full. Even the prey gave up on me. And then a new thought was born. Subtle. Cruel. What if I always knew this would happen? And if I wove all this just so you don't have to go out? As if I wanted to arrest myself like I'm afraid of the world. As if prison were more comfortable than doubt. In here at least I'm sure of what I am. Out there maybe I'm nothing. You touch a wire and feel the vibration reverberate within yourself. There is no longer any difference between your body and your web. You transformed the space you built. The beauty of the web saved me, but it also sedated me, and now it suffocates me. And still I can't stop. Because the fear of leaving, it's bigger than the fear of dying. I woke up different. I don't know if it was the light that changed or whether it was silence. But something told me. Today, you try to leave. And so I approached the edge. I felt the outermost wires. They trembled like ancient strings, fragile, heavy. But they were there, and I thought, maybe there is still a way out. I advanced, slow, cautious. But with every step, I caught myself. Not with new ties, but with the ancients, those who were already there, but I had forgotten they existed. Threads upon threads, about me, inside me. It was as if I had sewn my cell myself, point by point, with eyes closed. Try to pull out, a stuck paw. She gives in, but another thread gets tangled in her abdomen. You pull harder. The sound of silk stretching echoes through the space like a muffled scream. I scratched, bite, Saudi. I tore what I could. I released what I could, but the more I fought, but I got tangled up. The web was alive, or maybe I was her. And fight her, it was like tearing my own skin, how to kill myself, trying to survive myself. I felt despair. Not panic, but that kind of silent desperation. Who knows that everything is lost? But still try, why accept would disappear. You stop for a second, panting, hanging between two slowly swaying wires. The wind outside blows, but it doesn't reach you. There is light, but it doesn't touch your skin. I thought about calling. Scream, make some sound. Anything that could be heard. But spiders don't scream. Spiders build. Spiders wait. Spiders are silent, and no one would come anyway. Because no one visits someone who goes too far away. No one reaches those who bury themselves in their own perfection. My web was an island. But an island that I myself turned into a grave. You close your eyes. Try to remember the first thread, the first curve, the moment when everything was still light. But he can't. Everything is already mixed up. Everything is a loop. Everything is not. What hurts the most, it's not being trapped. It's knowing that I was the one who pulled every thread with love, proudly, with faith, and now I'm suffocating inside what I built with my own hands. You stop, breathe, or try. The chest moves slowly, and for the first time you think, maybe I won't escape. Maybe that's all. I don't move anymore. Not because I can't, but because now I understand. There is no way out. And that truth, raw and sharp, strangely as it calms down. The fight was the most painful part, because in the fight there was illusion. In the fight, I still believed that it was enough to want. Now, there is only me, my web, and what that means. I begin to see my prison with different eyes, as if I had strayed from myself and look at everything from above. And what I see, it's beautiful, hauntingly beautiful. You slowly rotate in the center, hanging between almost invisible wires. The light reflects off the strands like broken silver mirrors. You see its shape, distorted, multiplied. You see your story stretched out in the air. Each line has a reason, each curve counts a choice. Here's the rush, there is the fear, there, the desire to be perfect. The web doesn't lie. It shows you what you didn't want to remember, and that's why. She arrests. It's not just silk, it's memory. My cell is my diary, and I read myself. For the first time. You touch an old wire. It vibrates slightly. A memory passes. The day you reinforced the base because you felt the wind. The day it strengthened once again, even with a clear sky. You remember the wind didn't exist. It was. Just fear. I became obsessed with control, with the shape, with the invisible approval of eyes that never came. If I make it nice enough, someone will see it. If I build it perfect enough, someone will understand me. But no one came, and maybe no one could come, because the web wasn't a bridge, it was a wall. She said, "Look at me," but he shouted, "Stay away," and I thought I was showing. Off, but I was hiding. You sigh, the air enters slowly, tangling with the wires around you. Everything is dense. Everything is you. I understand now. I didn't weave for a living. I weave to protect myself from living. And in this protection I became entangled. Thread by thread, I became silent. I was isolating myself. Until the day when there was no one left, and then the big question arises, simple, devastating. Was it worth it? And I don't know how to answer, because the answer is not yes, but it's also no. The answer is this here. It's this web, this prison, this sick poetry that I leave in the world. Because even if no one sees, even if no one listens, it exists. And maybe, just maybe, someone stopped by here one day and whispers, "Someone lived here, someone felt too much. Today I woke up and I didn't weave. For the first time since I was born, my fingers did not seek support, my body didn't spin in circles, my mind didn't calculate the next stroke. I just stayed. At the center of my work, in the cell that became a temple, in the prison that now, strangely, is also a shelter. Not because it protects me, but because it reveals me. I see everything. I see myself in everything. And I know now, I'm not leaving, and that's okay, but also, I won't hold back anymore. Today I choose silence. I choose to stop. I choose to exist without adding more threads, without reinforcing any more walls. You breathe slowly. Pause, rest. Your body sways slightly with the wind, the same wind that once terrified you. Now he runs through the wires as if to say, it doesn't have to be perfect. My web is complete, not because it's perfect, but because it has come to an end. I leave it as a testimony, not as a trap, but as a letter. For any being that passes by, and recognize yourself in us, in the turns, in the excessive ties, that understands this is not failure. It's the way I found to not disappear, and now it's the way I choose to leave something. You move to the edge of the web, not to run away, but to look at the world with different eyes. You see the light pass through the wires and create patterns. For the first time you realize the beauty is still there, just now, without need. no requirement. If anyone hears this, if any soul feels this thread cross their chest, so my web was worth it, even though no one was arrested in it, even if it was just for me. Because sometimes we build not to capture, but to survive. And when survival ends, what remains is memory. You haven't seen my wires, maybe you passed them by without realizing it, but now that you've come this far, you heard me and that's enough. Now one last choice. If this story touched you, if you too have already woven too much, if you've ever gotten lost trying to protect yourself, and if you are now trying to stop, leave a sign. In the comments, write, "That was the last thread. This is our secret code," to show that someone somewhere he also got tired of building prisons with his own hands. Subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more voices trapped in beautiful cells, more stories that bleed on the inside but scream on the outside. Here, pain has form. It has a voice. It has an echo. See you in the next web, or who knows, in the next thread.